Assalamualaikum and good greetings. So today we'll be watching a video titled Islam versus Red Pill, ex-dating coach. This is by a channel Mat Nokizi. Without further ado, let's watch.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I want to speak about red pill. I want to talk about red pill from a dating perspective specifically. A red pill in its entirety is very, very broad and it can be applied to so many different things in life. Just a quick
Wait, what's it?
to speak about red pill. I want to talk about red pill from a dating perspective specifically. A red pill in its entirety.
What does red pill mean? Red pill refers to becoming enlightened to the truth about reality, especially a truth that is difficult to accept or exposes disillusions. Okay, so that is what red pill means, but it's the general broad concept, I guess.
Is very, very broad and it can be applied to so many different things in life. Just a quick intro of myself for those of you who don't know. My name is Mat Nokizi. I am a Muslim revert. I was very much involved in red pill quite a while ago now, to be fair. I was a dating coach at one point. I lived a very sort of hedonistic lifestyle which led me to have the experience in order to be a dating coach. And you know, I'm only 25, so you can kind of imagine, I'm not going to talk about it too much, but you can kind of imagine what kind of lifestyle I was living. I've done a lot, basically. Alhamdulillah, I'm so much happier. So I just want to say, for any of you red pillers or just anyone watching this video, you know, if you are not feeling fulfilled, you might find some happiness in some things that you do, but you find yourself just chasing something and then achieving it, and all that happiness fades and you don't feel fulfilled. Islam is the answer for you. I'm telling you now, it's the answer for you. It's the answer for me and so many others. But anyway, back to the video. I want to talk about red pill versus Islam, and I wanted to cover something which happened recently, which sort of, it kind of took the internet by storm. It initially happened on Twitter. So as I said, I was involved in red pill a long time ago. Well, not so long, but quite a while ago. Even when I was involved in it, I saw the benefits, like the positive aspects. Obviously, in most ideologies, there's going to be some positive aspects, right? Red pill is typically, you know, you need to get your money up, you need to get in the gym, you need to stop eating so much, you need to start networking, so many things, which is just basic advice of how to become like a man, how to become a respectable, high-value man. But the things that I noticed, which sort of took me away from red pill, was mainly the sort of negative, nihilistic, sort of hopeless, and honestly anti-woman. I was getting all of this sort of negative sentiment from these red pillers, and if I'm being honest, I love women. You know, I've multiple sisters, obviously my mum, my nan, I've had stuff for a lot, but I've had girlfriends in the past, and I started to notice that this ideology started to make me think negatively towards women, and I didn't really like this. I think my ex-partners noticed this as well, and so I left. Well, you know, I left. I don't know really what that means. I just stopped watching a lot of the content that I was watching. I found Islam, and I think this is a message to a lot of red pillars that you should not feel nihilistic or hopeless about women. Yeah, of course, a lot of women in the West are not wifey material, if you want to call it that. But that doesn't mean that you can't find, you know, you can't level up and find someone who is worth it. You know, Islamically, you are encouraged to marry. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean much to you if you're not a Muslim, but these kind of core family values and like guidance for life are promoted in Islam, and there's a reason for that, but I'll get onto that in a bit. So,
I noticed because I'm watching YouTube, right? I noticed the content with regard to the clash between men and women. It's kind of, I don't know when it starts or something, but suddenly it becomes a thing where from the woman's side they as if they want to totally dismiss their need of men, and from the men's side, at least from what I've seen, it seems to be as a counter to that, but sometimes to the level that, you know, I'm not sure how to describe it, right? The issues with the woman position, right? So it's bizarre to me that I'm assuming it is because the society have reached to that level where the discourse has become that, because each side is against each other, right? I don't know, has it always been like that? Because me growing up, we always been seeing the world through the lens of we complement each other, and suddenly I grew up and sees like the discourse is you not better than I am, I'm better than you, we do not need you, etc. It's becoming so weird.
The godfather of red pill, his name is Rollo, he wrote a tweet, so I'll put the tweet up here, and the advice was essentially how to become a high value man in the quickest.
Do not get married. I feel to that one. Avoid family creation, fail. Vasectomy in your 20s, interesting. Lift constantly, I think that's health. Eliminate all sedation, okay. Learn game and networking. Game is what? Is this with regard to woman or with regard to business? Play to your strengths, build wealth, resist easing up on your focus. I guess some people would see this, because if you define goal in life and success in life with regard to your position, your status, your wealth, etc., you can see that this is a good blueprint, because getting married, it creates, you know, a competition in your pursuit there. Your partner, your wife or husband, your kids, your family, extended family will become a competition with this pursuit, right? Because you only have limited time, so it will be some shape form of competition. So obviously eliminating competition will make you, you know, laser focus on this success that you define, right? So I can see that perspective if from the beginning you define that as success. I think that's the problem. Not to say, you know, you shouldn't get successful in your career, in your position as status, etc., but when the lens of life is only that, that's a problem. My interest is to see if there any research done to those who reach, you know, the peak with this kind of life, and then on their deathbed, some, you know, you interview them whether they see that I've lived my life this way and I would never have it any other way, or anything, or they have different thoughts. I'm interested in that.
Or shortest amount of time possible, right? And if you look down that list, obviously the first few catch your attention, but you look past the first 3 or 4, I believe it is, and the rest of it makes perfect sense, right? So obviously there's lift consistently, yeah, stay fit and healthy, of course, and strong. As a man, you need to be strong. Eliminate all sedations. Learn game and networking. Obviously networking is great. From an Islamic perspective, the whole game thing, you can maybe learn the theory of it, but putting it into practice is a bit, you know, it's a bit shaky. That play to your strengths, build wealth and focus. Sorry, I had to look down on my phone just to remember it. All of this is solid advice, and like I would give that same advice to any young man trying to he's trying to become a high value man. I agree with this so much that a lot of this is mentioned in the Quran, like to be, you know, strong, healthy, entrepreneurship, you know, achieving sort of wealth, especially so you can give it away to those who need it. Those kinds of things is very, very important Islamically. But what got everyone's attention was the first few points, and let me just highlight it now. He's basically saying you should not get married in your 20s, you should avoid having kids or creating a family. And the one which sort of enraged so many people was get a vasectomy in your 20s. First thing to say about that is that is a serious procedure, which you should go into that procedure not expecting to have it reversed. And after a certain amount of time, it becomes way, way harder for it to be reversed. So you're basically risking ever having a family for the small benefit of, oh, I might get someone pregnant. Which, you know, as a Muslim, having kids, it's a blessing. Having a family is a blessing. In fact, it's encouraged. If you're able to marry and have kids, you should do so. And with that comes blessings. Now, of course, I'm not stupid. I know he's basically saying, if you avoid having a family, avoid having kids, avoid having these kind of liabilities or whatever you want to perceive them as, it will make things easier for you. You'll be able to focus more. You'll have more money to spend on yourself and on your business ventures. And all of that makes sense, right? The whole point of the tweet was how to become a high value man in the quickest amount of time possible. But in that time, surely you will be with women, as non-Muslims especially, you will be with women, right? So you're with women in a romantic setting on probably a regular basis, but you have no intentions of having a family with them. For me, it's wasting the women's time, because for women, what they want long term is a partner who they're going to create a family with. So you're intentionally wasting their time. And are you even telling them this? Are you telling them that I have a vasectomy or I don't plan on having kids? And imagine like this woman is 26, 27, she's in love with you, and you plan on having this vasectomy for 10 years. She'll be 35, 36. Her chances of having a kid anyway have dropped substantially. And imagine if she still could have a kid and you try and have the reversal procedure and you can't, or you do it, but you know, you still can't have kids. It's just, it's insanity. It really is. Something I find extremely hypocritical as well is how you've mentioned eliminate, I'm saying you as though I'm talking to Rolo, but something he's mentioned is that eliminate all sedation. So I've noticed this a lot, that red pillars talk about avoid playing video games, watching sports, eating too much, avoid watching, you know, porn. But when it comes to women, they never teach you to avoid it. So it comes to all of these different things, and you have a lot of discipline, you know. I have to eat healthy, I have to hit the gym every single day, I have to make money, I have to sit down, you know, business, networking, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to women, you have no discipline. What kind of high value man has no discipline around women? How is that a high value man? I get it in a sense that society gives you that value, of course, but amongst women, no woman wants a man who's lusting over loads of different women. If he's able to attract those women and isn't like, you know, he's not lustful and he's not lusting over them, then that can be attractive. But if you have no discipline around women, you just take whatever you can get. You have no discipline at all. Is that high value? Ask yourself that. Now, I think the reason why a lot of Muslims are kind of outraged by this, even though, you know, the advice isn't specifically to Muslim, is that in Islam it's promoted, it's encouraged to have a wife, to have kids. It's sunnah. So you should have that. And as Muslims, we follow the Quran, we follow the Sunnah, and we follow Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if he has done something, we want to almost copy that, because he's considered the perfect man and he had family. So why wouldn't we want to as Muslims? And I think this is a perfect example of why as Muslims, and I've learned this fairly recently, I used to watch a lot of non-Muslims and really take in a lot of their information, taking what they're saying and really apply it in real life. But now it makes you question, like, why as Muslims should we be listening to non-Muslims when it comes to life advice? We shouldn't, because they don't have the same goal and they don't have the same sort of moral thinking guidelines that we have as Muslims. So I don't think that we should as Muslims listen to these people. It's funny also because I saw like Tristan Tate and Sneeko and all of these other people are distancing themselves from Red Pill now, which is nice to see. I think Red Pill was kind of an overcorrection against feminism, and feminism itself being an overcorrection against the patriarchy. I've been doing this a lot in this video, I really don't like it, so I'm going to stop doing it. Anyway, I just wanted to say that, you know, if you're a red pillar and you're like, oh, I really want multiple women. In Islam, we understand that God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has made you a certain way. He's made men a certain way to want variety. Our testosterone is higher. Our sex drive is higher. This is a scientific fact. In Islam, it allows you, I'm not saying you go and do it, but I'm saying if you really want that, it allows you to do it. But there is a clause in it. You have to actually look after and care and provide for every single woman that you're with, up to 4. Now, most men can't do that, so they don't have multiple wives, but if you're able to, then you can. As long as you're not messing her about, you have to still approach her father and you have to make sure that you can provide for her and you have to prove it. And so you're not just sleeping with her once or twice and then chucking her to the side. You're treating her like a human being. This is what I was talking about at the start of the video. In Red Pill ideology, I think they really just don't value women, and I'm not trying to come across as one of these, you know, I don't know what to even call it, pick me men. Is that even a thing? Because I'm definitely not. I have certain views on women, I have certain views on men. In the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have equal value. We're just not the same, right? I think in Red Pill, they really treat women as objects. I have to be honest, as objects. But in Islam, it's not like that. Something that a lot of people ask me.
I guess the starting point, because if I get the information and try to understand, the starting point, for example, if the obsession to become high value man, successful, you know, have a standard value, etc., it start with you, right? Meaning you. And then to reach a certain status, and the rest is just the surrounding, including women, and hence you see everything in a certain lens. That perhaps the concern or the awareness, or how to say, the what about the betterment of the society, for example, right? Is that part of the picture? Meaning that if I want to achieve a certain status, certain value, etc., and everything else is just collateral, then it you know, it's not weird to see that you see others as just stepping stone, objects, etc., right? But in Islam, it's not just about you, but family, society, the nation, etc., 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 right? So everything is linked, and the well-being of every single layer is the essential, the integral part of the whole teaching. Hence, you know, if you just thinking about yourself, and you can reach a certain point by you know, being zulum, being how to say, unfair to others, that might seem to be, you know, what is important is me, you know. But in Islamic perspective, no, you know. So every single thing is interconnected, right? So the best version of life that a woman have is linked to the guy, the husband, for example, right? And etc., and the children, right? So if you're thinking about, you know, the best of the world is when the children have a certain life, that in the bigger picture requires the parent to have some sacrifices, including what they'll see as, I don't know, their level or the status of their value, that to accommodate, you know, so that the whole system have the best version of the whole system, not just, you know, I'm getting the best out of it regardless of the rest is suffering, right? So I think that's another perspective that you know, if you understand that concept, it's easier to understand the beauty of Islam.
You know, I was an ex-dating coach, I lived a certain lifestyle. A lot of people ask me now, do you not miss it? Do you not miss doing X, Y, Z? I'm not going to say exactly what. Do you not miss it? Do you not miss partying, drinking, getting with girls, doing all this and that? No, I mean, it's irrelevant, isn't it? If you're a Muslim, why does it matter if you miss it? There are so many things that you want to do, but you can't do it. For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't do it. That's what it is. Everyone sins, of course, but like, you try your best. And as long as you have fear in your heart, you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then at least you'll commit these sins a lot less, or you won't do it at all. I think that's the important thing. I think in the West and in Red Pill ideology, there's no real moral authority. Things just change over time. What is morally correct right now will not be morally correct in 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. But for us Muslims, what is morally correct 1400 years ago is morally correct right now. And so sleeping around with girls, it's wrong. It's wrong for you, even though it doesn't affect men as much as it affects women. It still affects men, and it definitely affects women. So it's so hypocritical, I would say, these red pillars. They don't value women who are easy to sleep with, who have a high body count, but then they themselves want to go out and sleep with basically these women. So you increase their body count, but then you lower their value. Morally, ethically, that's disgusting, that's wrong, and it's hypocritical. And so I think there's so many flaws in Red Pill. As I said at the start of the video, Red Pill is a man-made ideology. Every man-made ideology has flaws. How can something or someone who isn't perfect create a perfect solution? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So that's interesting. You know, I haven't watched a lot of videos, watch and react to a lot of videos where we're talking about society, impact of society, etc., right? And that's where I think most of Islamic teaching would clearly show where its beauty lies, right? Yeah, interesting video. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you next time.